For my next commentary, I'll be looking into the idea of closure, found specifically within the seventh seal. I should first introduce our group of friends here at Antonius's castle who have fled there from the storm. They sit around a table, very reminiscent of the Last Supper. Antonius's wife, Karen, reads from the New Testament. She's reading about the seven seals, and they suddenly hear a knock on the door. Now everyone has a real sense of anxiety, of uneasiness, of trepidation. The squire gets up to investigate the knocking, and you can tell by everyone's expression, Plog, Antonius, and the girl, that everyone's a bit worried at what's in store for them. At the same time, very interestingly, the girl sees a light shining through. And what automatically comes to mind is the expression that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. And I think it's a very comforting message from Bergman, and I really do think it relates to Joseph, Mary, and their infant child, who eventually escaped the hands of death. And here Antonius and the girl are looking at the squire's return, and everyone's tense. And though the squire says that he saw no one at the door, we can tell by his facial expression that he is not at ease. Something's troubling him as well. It's as if he senses the presence of death, even though he may not be able to see him yet. And here we have a very powerful shot with the girl being able to see death first. And we see her quivering and shaking, her lips trembling. Antonius is next, and the squire, Antonius' wife, Plog, and finally Lisa, his wife. And now we're going to cut directly to death. But again, it's very interesting to point out that we're introduced to this fear first by the facial expressions and reactions of the characters. Not by a glimpse of death first, but a glimpse of the character's reaction to him. And here we have everyone getting up, with the girl first. And I think it's very important that they approach death. It's almost as if they're accepting their fate and coming to terms with it, rather than run away. And there's even a bit of a comical trade-off between Plog and his wife Lisa, telling Lisa to curtsy for the noble lord. And we can sense the tension in the air, and that anxiety again. Especially Karen's face on the right, that fear of what's to come, and Antonius crying out, having his doubts of faith, even to the very end. And here we have the squire combating Antonius, as he's done throughout the film, who's really served as a combatant for Antonius's ideals throughout the film. Antonius being an idealist, and the squire really subscribing to hedonism. And again, the squire keeps going until Antonius' wife tells him to stop. But his last words, "I will be quiet, but under protest." And here we turn to the girl. It is almost as if she is in a state of grace, and I think very reminiscent of another film, The Passion of Joan of Arc. A very graceful expression on her, as if she's prepared to accept her fate and ready to move on. And she utters her only words in the film, "It is finished." And now we cut back to the family. And I think this is a great juxtaposition. Bergman uses sunshine, clarity, brightness to really show the difference of where the family has ended up. They've escaped the fate of the others. The skies are clear, and really The world is their oyster to use. And again, I think this relates back to the idea of light at the end of the tunnel. Though everyone may have perished in Antonius's castle, this family lives on, and more specifically, their infant child lives on. And here, perhaps, the most famous scene found in the movie, Joseph witnesses there with his sense of the supernatural, death leading the group that were just killed. And Joseph describes the scene, and of course, Mary, his wife, cannot see it and just takes his word for it. And the scene is quick, but it does serve its purpose as Joseph looks on. But that is not their fate. Their fate is to live on and to keep cultivating their own happiness. And really, their story will continue. And it's really this idea of living on and using your life to your benefit that I think Bergman makes a point to express. And interestingly, this is the last shot of the movie, with them riding off, happy, content, and satisfied. They may not know what is to come, but they are happy to be alive.